Recording this just for review. Let me make sure. Yeah, that's working. Okay. We're going to do a little bit of just finishing up what Access can do for you with a little bit of just to give you a little bit of taste of some extra things you can do and how you can actually build decent looking applications with it. Show you another little example of an Access application that I built a long time ago, and I thought I would give it to you for your use, and perhaps maybe someday in the future it might actually be useful to you. And then we'll get going on practice in Excel to get you prepared to ace that final. So first thing we'll do is go back to our Bible database and show you just a few extra things that we can do in Access. So bring up the old Bible database that we've been working on. Here's my Bible database from section 2. Right now, you now are experts at the user interface for Access. You have all your tables, all your Access objects. Remember your tables in this particular one. The table is the fundamental data, the text of the ASV Bible. Remember we imported that from a text file. It had an extra column with the book name in there, redundantly listing the name spelled out each time. We removed that file or that field because we have the book number, the key to the name of the book, and the name of the book is over here in the book name and number table. So the number is the key to the name of the book, the primary key in the name and number table. If we look at design, we see the book number is that primary key. So that's all the structure, and the .NET or the Net Bible is the same structure. Record ID, book number, the key to the name of the book, and the chapter number and verse number, and then the text of the verse. Okay, that's all in there. You know about tables, and you know about queries. We've built so many queries, and you'll have some queries assignment, but I think we've done enough query practice for now. We have these forms that let you, one, view the ASB with the notes, the media attached. We have a form to view the Net Bible verse by verse. And we have a form to view the parallel Bibles verse by verse. So I could send this database to someone and say, hey, if you want to open the Bible, take a look at the, let's see, there's the parallel one, there's the ASV, and then there's the Net Bible. And if you want to view them in a certain way, well, pick the forms, and you have to tell them what forms to pick. Let me show you just a little extra things that are available here in Access. We can actually build a form from scratch just to show you the capabilities of making a main menu into our data. So we're going to go this one time into form design. Now there's whole classes that start with form design and build a lot more on this. I'm just going to give you a little taste of that. So let's go to Create, Form Design in our Bible database. There's nothing there in our form. I don't need to see the property sheet, I don't think, so I'm going to close the property sheet. Now Form Design gives you the ability to add your own things to a form. And let's add a button to a form. I'm going to click on a button, and I'm going to put it right there. And I have little guide markers there. I'll click right on that little crosshair right there to place it nicely there. And up pops what they call a command button wizard. This command button wizard lets me get a little help in what I want this button to do. What I want this button to do is, instead of record navigation or record operations, I want to do a form operation and simply open a form. So form operation, open form. And I click next, and it gives me the choice, well, what form would you like to open? I can have this button open a form for me, and let's have it open how about the ASV Bible with notes attached. So I'm going to click ASV with notes and click next, and I'm going to choose, open the form just like before to show all the records. And I click next, and It's going to add a picture. I could actually choose a custom picture. I'll go with the default picture of a open a form. Click next, and I'll give that the name ASV and finish. Now right now it gives me a button. Let's see what happens when I view my form now. There's my form, pretty boring, but if I click on that little button, look what it does. It opens up the ASV with notes form. So this can be like my main menu. Let's go back to design view of that main menu, and let's add a label so I know what this button's supposed to do. I click here for label, the label button, and I'm going to click here and draw out a label and fill it in with ASV Bible form. I'll call it my form reader. Oh, just ASB Bible Reader. I'm going to change the font of that to something a little big. Let's see, format. Oh, I have to select it so I can adjust my font size. So I have a label next to my button. Let's see what this looks like now by viewing the form. Home, and let's go view the form now. There is now a form with a label next to what that button will do. I click on it and up pops the ASV. So I can create a nice little menu into all the wonderful things that I have available in my database, especially forms and reports. So let's do that again for another one. I'm going to go back to design view of my form, and I'm going to create another button. Let's go click on button, come align it nicely there, and click here. It's going to be a form operation. We're going to open a form, and this time the form is going to be, how about we open up the net query form, and next open the form, show all records, use the default picture, and I'm going to call that net form. The name I give it isn't important because I'm not using anything fancy with that. Let's copy paste this label and move it down. There's a little move handle at the upper left corner, the little dot in the upper left, and I can rename this to be Net Bible Reader. And all that, remember, all that button does is open the other form. And now I click view this form and I see, oh, now I have the ASV Bible Reader or the Net Bible Reader. Just by adding a button and a label. Go back to design view and let's add one more. I'm adjusting the position of that a little bit. Let's add one more, another button. I'll put it about right there. It's going to be another form operation. Open a form, and the form I'm going to open will be my parallel form. Now I have two of them there. I'm going to choose the second one I created. So choose what you're going to open with that. Go with the default show all records. It's going to have a standard picture of a form, and the command, I'll call it ASV net. Finish. And now let's give it let's copy a label, Control C, Control V. I'm only copying and pasting just so I don't have to worry about changing the font again. And we'll call that net ASV parallel. And just so this is a better looking user interface, let's give it a label at the top, and that's going to be the title. Welcome to the Bible Reader. And to change the font size, I guess I have to click off of that and then format, adjust my font size. I can even choose a different font if I like. Make it bold, make it colorful. Let's add one more button under the form designer. Let's go to my form design. Let's add another button, and I'm going to put it up here. Let's see, we'll put it in the lower right, typical lower right. That button's going to be a application category, and it's going to be quit application. And next, it's going to have a stop sign as the standard picture, and I'll call it quit for my name. And now I have that little button in the bottom right. Let's see what that does. First of all, I'm going to save my form. I'm going to call that main menu. Now let's view the form. There I have my quit button. There I have my different readers. It pops up the parallel or the net or the ASV. I can read through, add notes, and add media to my heart's content. And then let's see what happens if I click here. Will it quit the window or quit the whole application? Let's see what happens. It quits access. So that's a dangerous button if I don't want it quitting on me. So I open up access, come back to my database, and my main menu form is right there. So I've created what looks like an application. This takes me to different parts of my database built with forms and tables and queries, all the stuff we know how to do. Now suppose I want to send this database to someone, and I don't want to explain to them, oh yeah, on the left side you'll see access objects, find the main menu down in the forms navigator and open that. How about when they open this database, they will just get sent right to the main menu? Here's how we could do that. I have the main menu I created. It's all working. Let's go to File, Options. File, Options, way on the lower left there. And under the current database, second list up there, I can choose what form to display when they open this database. And I can choose main menu to be the form that gets displayed when this database is open. And I can decide whether or not to show them the layout view, to show them design changes. I can disable them being able to even view those others, but if they know how to mess with options, they could turn them back on. I could even turn off different ribbons, but we'll just do the one thing, have that display the main menu when this database is open. So I set main menu under access options, current database, display the form. And let's give it a title. Let's call it Bible Reader. I couldn't even give the application an icon. Let's see if there's any special icons in my pictures. I'm going to skip that part. I don't want to hunt around for icons. So display the form main menu. Let's see, lots of other options available for what happens when they open the database. Not going to worry about that. Now let's see what happens. I'm going to click OK. Now I'm going to close my database and come back and open it and see what happens. Close the database. Now let's come back and open it again. Find it. There it is. If I open that, pops me right into the main menu right when I open my database. So this is actually how decent looking applications are built, just by creating forms. With a little skill in designing forms, I can create a decent application that has a database component. Now, industrial strength professional databases out there do this same kind of thing, but they hire a user interface designer. They have a separate database designer behind the scenes. Access is like a taste of that, all built into a decent program, but Access is not quite big enough to handle huge databases. What Microsoft has done is There is a very similar database, industrial strength, called SQL, that is very much similar to Access language of their queries. So Access is like hey, if you like databases and you want to build super fast and very efficient, you can use SQL. Access is like the junior version of databases, but very powerful. So you can build a nice menu-like database. Playing with the other options, you can actually have it open with the navigator and ribbon not even showing, and just have this show. And that's what I want to show you next, is you can have something like this from the templates that Access has made available to us. So let's take a look now. Now we're done with just adding that little Bible reader form. So remember what we did now. We just we designed a form, the main menu. We put a few buttons on there, just seeing how you can make buttons do things. 3 that take you to a special form, and 1 that quits the application. There's lots of other things you can put into forms. Look at all the things you can put: attachments, little buttons, pictures. This is all something that you can play with and see what designers of a decent database application can do. Let's take you now, I'm going to save this main menu because I made a little change to it. Let's take you now, I'm going to start a new database. We didn't want to do this at the start. We wanted to know how to build our own. But now that you have a taste of that, look at the templates that are available when you want to build a database from templates. I'm going to click on database for my templates. And I see all these database templates available to me. Let's pick one here just to see what's in here. How about the home inventory? Something you might want to do someday. Let's do a home inventory. Click on that, and I'm going to call it home inventory. I'm going to save it in right now it's in my documents folder. I'm happy with that. And I'm going to enable content. Now if you want to see the navigation pane of what they built for you in that template, you can expand that, and you'll see that it has a few forms, home inventory list. Let's see, are there tables in there? Let's see, tables. There's one table called assets. So it's not a super complex for a table. It has one table listing the things you have in your home, and if I look at the data sheet view of that, I see that it's keeping track of the prices of things, the category, serial number, when purchased, whether it's insured. So that's the table. But let's take a look at their menu that they give you. They give you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 forms in this template. And basically, just like what you did, you created a button. They have little buttons with a label next to it of what these different forms can do. Apparently, this doesn't work until you have something in your table. Here I can have a form for adding a new asset, like the couch and how much it costs. And that's basically opening up the asset details form. So they created a little menu across the top and then displayed the table at the bottom. And of course I could, now that I know about this, I could go down into view the design of that table that came with that template, and I can learn how they made that particular form. They actually have a header as part of their form, and then the bottom part is the different pieces of the form. So their header contains those 3 or those 4 little actions that they built into that form. And now you're familiar with form design just by doing a little bit yourself. This is what they did to create a pretty decent looking little home inventory application. And each little, they decided to send something here in that button. This one takes you to a web page that is useless. This takes you to the new asset form, or the asset details form, all built in to their main menu. Now let's take a look. Remember how we can set what form opens at the top? I'll bet you if we look in the options, we'll see home inventory list as my form. Let's see. File, options, current database. Look at that. There's the form to be displayed when the database opens. So those templates they've built for you, you now can play with those and see that, you kind of have an idea how they built that. And of course, you could have a career, an actual decent career in building applications that maybe you haven't seen out there. That if you wish they had an application for this particular thing, Access is one of the tools you may be able to use to build that and show others how to do it, or even have a product that you could provide to others. One last thing in Access, which I want to provide for you, is nothing super fancy, but I think I'm kind of like to pass it on to you as something else you can do with databases. I'm going to show you this. It's over here in Schoology. Let me bring up Jay Smart's page in Schoology. I have given you something that you can keep for generations to come. Built a little, it's database, it's using Access, but it's not using the database capabilities so much as just what you can do with a simple little Access database. It's called my little verse cards. It's over here under the welcome page. If you expand that, you'll see the verse cards. Let's take a look at what that is by downloading that verse cards file. I'm going to download to my section 2 folder, and I'm just calling it verse cards, and it has the date back in 2019. We had a little club that met Friday nights in Dubuque called Friday Nighters, and I'm going to go now and take a look at that verse cards file. I'm going to open that, and it gives you a little warning because I have some code in there, do something special. Yes, I'm going to go ahead and open it. I'm going to enable content. And basically what you have in here is tables that really don't do a whole lot, simple tables that have just numbers in them. They are useful in arranging the reports. Let's just see what the reports are. First of all, let's take a look at the first report we find in here, Awana 2013. I open that report and I see little boxes listed multiple times. What in the world is this? Well, let's take a look at design view of this report. And I see this report is simply a about 3-inch by 2-inch little tiny page with a picture in the middle of it. Just like we designed a form, we can use this designer for reports with an Emmaus and time and little ditty about what we do at Awana clubs. Let's do a print preview of this to see what this would look like. I'm going to go print preview and see that because of my default settings here, it thinks it's going to print on a regular piece of paper. Let's change my page setup to be a page of size tabloid and click OK. This is the size of paper you can get if you buy a piece of poster paper from any hobby store, cut it into fourths, you will get a paper that's almost tabloid size. And when you print this out through the printer, cardstock, you will get this printed on one side of that paper. These little markings I put in there will be guidelines for slicing this paper into small little cards that you can then hand out to your little clubbers. And now on the back side of this card, let's take a look at this one. On the back side of this card, you have a verse that you can have them memorize. Let's go to design view of that verse card. And I see that text is fitting in the same size as this, if I look at design view of that. Both of these are basically set to be well, what size would this be? How do I find the size of that? Well, here's how I do that. I can right click over here in the gray and view my properties. And I can see that that picture is 3.5, just a tiny bit over 3.5 inches wide. And to view the height of it, I click on the background dots on that main form, and I see it's set to be 2.25 inches, just a tiny bit more than 2.25 inch high. This is how a card is created that would fit exactly on the back side of this, because that is set to have the same dimensions. This was all done through experimenting on a tabloid, a cut-up poster board, and the color printer to get these to fit just right on the front and back side. And now when I go to print, or when I go to view, print preview, I have to tell it again, oh, in page setup, oh, get ready to print to a tabloid size page. Now this would be what would appear on the back side of each little card. And print preview of this one, this would be what would appear on the front side of each little card. And I would cut these up and actually take some clear varnish that came in spray cans, and once I printed it, I would spray it to give it like a protective coating, and it was a cool little card they could take home and memorize that verse, bring the little card back the next time, or collect these little cards for little verse memorization cards. You can do this yourself. The whole numberings of the tables was just so I would get enough printed out. I think, how many are there? There's maybe 21. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 21 cards would show up on each side of this paper. This is how I would get cute little cards. And let's go down to another set here. I go down to look at all these cards. We printed these out. We did Friday Nighters for years. COVID kind of killed us, ended Friday Nighters. And I also did it for a missions. We did a missions children's ministry in Lombard one time, and we made little cards for them to print out. Same thing I did, design view. I put a picture in the exact same size, 3.5 by about 2.25 high. Printed it out on tabloid paper, setting the size of the paper to be tabloid for that printer. That's one thing about Access. It remembers what your default printer is and tries to do the print preview based on your default printer, which kind of messes you up sometimes. I was always printing on the PDF anyway, and then would print the PDF from the printer. There is the front card for the missions, and the back side of it would be a verse that went on the back side of that card. And if I do the print preview there, changing my page size to be the tabloid again. There I would get the back side would have this little picture reminding them about being salt of the earth and light of the world. So salt shaker next to a lighthouse. Little picture. I would find that, at least for me, having a picture in my mind and to give me a hint of the verse would help me remember the verse. And that was something we did back in 2017. Maybe you'll run into someone that still has one of those little cards from that missions. Something you can easily do, and this is not so much keeping an inventory and keeping your tables design. This is what you can do with reports. You can generate a report, and this is how they do name tags. For you have a list of people. This is how you would do name tags, generating a report, and of course you have report helpers that will give you the size that exactly fits certain name tags. So that was a quick little look at the things that are capable in Access, the things you can do with it, and a free thing for you. If you have interest in doing anything like little verse cards, here's something you could start with and perhaps improve upon. And if you do improve upon it, maybe send me your improved verse cards database if you find another cool thing you can do with that. So another thing to remember, this is very much like what Mail Merge does for you. It creates a database kind of thing to do name tags or mailing labels. So if you want to do mailing labels, of course, I think there's actually templates out there, or you just do the internet search for Access Database mailing labels. Oh, and thinking of that, asking the internet for help, what is replacing, at least for me, I don't know for you, to go to the internet for help, here's where I go these days. Instead of doing all the searches myself, I go to ChatGPT and let it do the searching for me and give me answers. So let's say I want to do mailing labels access database. I don't think it gives you a file, it shows you how to create one. So you have an example created for you, but just ask ChatGPT and it will essentially search the internet for you. I don't really think of this as AI really, and maybe there's, people are making a big hype about AI. I consider AI right now to be more of web searchers, programs that search the web for you and produce summarized results. It's really not AI in my mind. It's things that scrape the web and organize it for you. Because I can do the same thing just doing a search. I could do access database mailing labels and probably get 1 million hits and 830 million hits and walk through, learn about it in detail, and basically that's what ChatGPT has done for me. It's a program that has been searching the internet. I don't know if it does the search or it has already done the search because someone else looked for this, and it summarizes how to create a access database for mailing labels. If you do a search on your own, you probably would more likely find videos walking you through it very, very clearly. It's still, doing your own search is useful, but if you just want it summarized, that's essentially what I see ChatGPT doing for me. And of course, there's a higher level version. I think Bing is using the next level. Bing.com, I think, is searching and uses ChatGPT 4. But little by little, that AI is going to be something us teachers have to watch out for, giving you assignments that we are going to have to go out and see, well, if they did the assignment using ChatGPT, what would it look like? Okay. If I get anybody give me a report exactly what ChatGPT gave me, I know they're plagiarizing. So if you ever do use ChatGPT and even for help in a paper, mention it in your citations that, hey, I did this search and I got this information from its output. Some teachers may allow it. Some may say, no, you have to find the exact search on your own. Okay, that's it for databases. Now it's time to practice a little bit with Excel. You know what databases can do for you. Let's practice because the Excel skills may have gotten a little foggy. I'm going to start a new Excel project just for a few practice items, and we'll do a little bit more practice on Friday as well. Get you ready to ace that final. Just like we have templates in Access, there are templates in Excel that do lots of things, and I can look for budgets and charts and have lots of cool templates. So you can keep track of lots of things in there. They've done a lot of formatting for you, but we want to be sure that not only you can't always go to a template, but there may be a problem with it, there may be an error in it, you'll know how to fix it. So let's go back to a blank database and we'll do some practice. But remember, those templates are out there. That's a great way to learn what you can do with Access by just seeing what someone did in creating a template. But I'm going to start with a blank workbook. Now it's time for a little practice. And I'm going to jump right into some formulas that you'll be given something like this on the final. Let's see. The formula will be, let's see, where I'm going to give you you have your quota, you have your work completed, And then you have value of bonus. And then my bonus. Okay, so the quota is 100. You have completed 99. The value of the bonus is $10,000. Big incentive to meet your quota. What would the formula be for whether or not you get your bonus? Anyone want to give me a little help? It's going to be an if formula. What would go right there? Anyone want to give it a try? I'll give you a little help. It starts with equal if and left parenthesis. And we see in the little text there that there's a logical test, a value if true, and a value if false. What would the logical test be? Whether or not you get your bonus. You've completed 99. Does this person get their bonus? No. Why? Their quota. They didn't meet the quota. The quota was 100. They only did 99 of whatever thing. So, if work completed, which is here in B3, is greater than or equal to the quota, then they get the quota. That's one way to look at it. So I'm going to put the formula if your work completed, that was over there in B3, is greater than or equal to the quota. That is the condition. So the statement, or it's something you should automatically know in your mind, is you get your bonus if you've met the quota. That's the typical way things work. And maybe a sentence would be, enter the formula, so the proper if formula for the proper calculation of the bonus, of my bonus, based on the quota and my work completed. Well, in your mind, you can think to yourself, well, the condition is I have to complete the quota or more in order to get my bonus. So that's the condition. B3, my work, greater than or equal to the quota. That's the logical test. I call it the condition. Logical test. Comma now, what is the value if true? Well, since the value of the bonus is in a cell, I put that cell address. I don't type the number 10,000. I type the address of where the bonus is. That's over there in B4. And don't forget, I also need to type, well, if I don't get the bonus, the value of false is 0. You could end it with parenthesis, but then you'll get the word false instead of 0. So we want to have comma 0, not missing the value if false. It does let you leave the value if false empty. That's why those little square brackets there are saying, well, that's optional. But we want to have that turn out to be not a true false, but a actual number. So my bonus is 1,000, 10,000, or nothing. That's implied in the bonus. Let's just make us meet our quota. Let's change that to 999. And once I hit enter or click off of that cell, now I see, yes, I did get my bonus. And remember, you can have conditional formatting apply. Let's go ahead and do conditional formatting on that. So when it's above the, or it's not 0, let's give it a green background. So 0, nothing, above 0, condition, the bonus will show green. So let's go conditional formatting just on that cell, have that cell selected, conditional formatting, and let's make a new rule, just like we did before. Make a new rule on that cell. The idea is when it's a positive, when it's greater than 0, let's color the background green. So conditional formatting, new rule, choose cells that contain Remember, cells that contain, that's the rule we've been using all the time. There's those others there, those will just confuse you. We're only using cells that contain rule. And the cell value is greater than 0. That's the simple condition. And now the format would be, well, format button, choose a border, or choose a fill, a fill of any color of those greens. Let's go light green. Click OK. There's the format it will have if that condition is true. Cell value greater than 0. And I click OK. And of course that goes green. Let's change my work completed back to a lower number, and it goes back to plain background. The condition was not met. As soon as I have met my quota, it turns to 1,000 and turns green because of conditional formatting. That is my if formula. Let's do something simpler now. Let's do a pay calculation. Let's do hourly rate. How about hourly rate of $16 an hour? Let's do a hours worked. We'll say we worked 35 hours. And we're going to calculate gross pay. We're going to calculate tax. And let's see here. We need some master tax rate. We'll put the master tax rate. I guess we'll put it here. Tax rate. We'll put that at 8%. And I'm going to highlight that because that's going to be one of my assumptions. We'll highlight that with the tax rate. All right. Now, it's up to you now to calculate my pay. And let's make this pay for Joe. This is pay for Joe. Let's move that down one. Joe's pay. Hourly rate, hours worked. Oh, and I forgot one thing. I have to put that. We also have then paycheck. Okay, so you need to calculate these three formulas. Well, what would gross pay calculation be? Give you some easier, slightly easier ones here. What would the gross pay be? How do we calculate that? Equal. What would it be? You know, you're too shy, aren't you? It'd be hourly rate times the hours worked. Easy peasy. Now the tax is the percentage of my gross pay. And when you hear the word of, that means multiply. So equals my gross pay times the tax. Now, one thing I want to do here, well, we'll just assume we're calculating for one person right now. We're all good. We don't need to put any absolute references. We have the tax. And now gross pay is simply equal to, my paycheck is equal to my gross pay minus the taxes. Now, you will be given a table like this with simple instructions of put in the proper formulas for pay calculation. It'll be up to you to look at this and see, oh, tax is a percentage of my gross pay. The paycheck, oh yeah, I subtract the tax from my gross pay to get my paycheck. That's not going to be spelled out. It's going to be given to you like this. Finish this table with these being blank. And it's up to you to figure out, oh yeah, I can understand what the numbers mean and what the calculation should be. And that's what real life is like. Now, any accountant table, and this is something that you'll be given a table to fill in values like this. One thing with points will be put the numbers in the proper format, accounting format. It's unbelievable how many students forget to do the simple thing of selecting the cells and putting them in at least comma format for proper accounting. Always go comma format if it has anything to do with accounting table. Now we have Sam. We want to calculate Sam's numbers as well. So we have his hourly rate is 14.25. His hours worked is 38. Well, we want to copy the formulas over so they will work for Sam too. Well, if we just copy what we have, we're going to have a problem. Sam suddenly doesn't have any taxes, and Sam's going to be sent to jail, or we're going to be sent to jail for not paying Sam's taxes for him. So we better fix this before we copy it. I'm going to Control Z that, and I want to fix the tax calculation so it doesn't come out wrong for Sam. How do I fix the tax calculation so it comes out correctly when I copy it over? Do you remember what I need to do? When I'm referring to tax rate, I need to be referring to it and not changing it as I copy it over to Sam. So I'm over here, I click, while I'm in that number, well, let's do it the simple way, or the manual way. When I copy it to column C, I still want to refer to column B for my taxes. So that's why I stick the $sign, think of it as a letter S with glue on it, dripping off of it. Sticky S, the B. Now the B will not change when I copy my formula to the right. Now it's always safe to hit the F4 key and have the sticky on both numbers. That'll just guarantee no matter what direction I copy, it will always refer in absolute reference to that position B13. Hitting F4 toggles through the combinations of stickies. Okay, I hit enter now. Now if I handle over the calculation for Sam, now Sam doesn't go to jail for not paying his taxes because he's still referring to the 8%. And now if I ever decide, oh, I realize I put that number wrong, it's 8.5%. It's never going to go down. Taxes never go down. They always go up. It does round it. Oh, that's interesting. It does round it to 9. Let's increase our decimals there so we do see that it is 8.5. It calculates it correctly when I change my reference or my assumptions there to my tax rate. This is just the start of our Excel practice. We'll be doing some more Excel practice on Friday. So you can save this, call it Excel practice. And you might even have a place to upload it for getting credit for practicing this. I'll call it Excel practice. And I'll put my user number in there. All right, I have recorded this. I will upload this as well to my playlist if you want to review any of this. These are some basic things that you'll want to know for the Excel section of the final. See you Friday.